Thanks for staying with us. Join us on the show is the country director at the Young Educators Foundation and convener of the Spelling Bee in Nigeria and affiliate of the Scripps National Spelling Bee USA, Eugenia Tachie Menton. She will be talking about the awareness of Spelling Bee in Nigeria, its mission, the vision, and the key messages. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you.
Good to have
it's
you.
lovely to see you in person.
So give us a bit of an overview of Spelling Bee in Nigeria and exactly the plans and the vision for it.
Right, so Spelling Bee Nigeria is, let's call it like a local franchise of Scripps National Spelling Bee. So Scripps National Spelling Bee is a century-old program that has been around for that long. Ghana is the only African country that's been participating for nearly 20 years now, and we just got Nigeria to come on board.
Ooh.
Yes. And the vision really is to basically make the world see that the African child, you know, can compete with others and also is one of the most literate in the world. And so with that in mind, the way the program runs and is delivered is totally different from your average spelling competition.
Okay, so what are the special ways that is done?
So what makes a difference? So I think what everybody who's ever watched a spelling program would attest to is that we've all heard about what's the origin, can I have the origin of the word? Yeah. The concept of that is the fact that the English language is actually a borrowed language. So because of that, it's not necessarily phonetic and it's not logic, it rather follows a formula. And the formula is that if I know that the word is Yoruba, for example, because there are some Yoruba words in the dictionary that we use, if I hear Tokbe, I'm hearing a K sound, but I know it's spelled without the K because it's Yoruba.
Yes,
so it's trying to just make sense of the language, as it were, and basically make our children better communicators. Yes.
Okay, so some people say beyond just the spelling. Okay, well, you just said it by saying that it makes them better communicators. But what would you say that what are the milestones that you've achieved since you brought the Spelling Bee to Nigeria that you can share with us?
Yes, so it's been great. We came in June of last year, 2024, and we've been welcomed by the community. The community is made up of the U.S. Consulate General, the American Business Council. We've also got, I think, Indomie, as well as Checkers, and then we've got Lucid, and then the schools. That they were the warmest, and they could, because obviously they could see how much of a co-curricular program that this is and how it complements what happens in the classroom. And really, that's the point about programs like this. It's meant to complement what happens in the classroom, not take away from it, but rather add to it. And so that's how it's been.
So I'm always concerned about there are misconceptions around spelling bees, like the fact that they have to memorize. So how would this particular spelling bee, how is it changing the narrative in Nigeria?
Yes, and that is a misconception that we are working hard against, if I may say so. So how the spelling bee in Nigeria works differently, because again, it feeds into the international one, the Scripps spelling bee. How our program, as it were, will dismantle the perception or misconception, more like it, is the fact that we don't give word lists because it's not about memorization. If you know how the Yoruba language works, I don't need to give you a list of words, the Yoruba words, to commit to memory. So it's more about understanding. And I think that that's the bigger concept we look at as an organization in terms of literacy. Literacy has three components. We always talk about the two, which is the ability to read and write, but the ability to comprehend what is being told. Is what is normally missing. So a child can spell the longest word in the world, but what does it mean? When do you use it? Why is it spelled that way?
Exactly.
Because that also brings about deductive reasoning. And so that's where the difference is with our program.
So just because you just said that, I asked a question earlier, for what age bracket would you say a child would qualify for this competition?
So it's normally, again, because the competition, it's we say 8 to 13, but we've had younger. We've had a 6-year-old, for example, back in Ghana, participate in it. So it's also about the child's ability, what they can handle, especially when it's younger. But those are the formative years, if we may call it so, the foundational years.
So what roles have the sponsors played? You mentioned a few sponsors so far. What kind of roles have they played in getting this to achieve the dream in Nigeria?
So definitely, I think the sponsors, Indomie and Checkers, Custard, who've come on board, are family brands to begin with, very well-known brands in Nigeria. And so their support obviously funds some of our activities, as well as giving us reach. So the program is actually, whilst we sit in Lagos here, we've had, I think, we have 4 states that competed in this inaugural year. So that's Lagos, Abuja, Taraba, thank you, Taraba and Osun states.
Okay.
So we've got 4 states in the first year out of 36 states. That's not bad. No. And we were able to do this because of the partnership and support that we've gotten.
So what does it mean for a winner or finalist to represent Nigeria in the United States?
I'm telling you, even I get goosebumps when I think about it, because the story behind the story is that it's taken us 16 years to get Nigeria on that, a seat. Well, just because it is. Okay. And so, again, with the children that we're working with already, the pride that comes in the fact that a lot of them would say, yeah, I've traveled before, but you're representing Nigeria. You're an ambassador. The world is going, and Nigeria is the only other African country. And Nigeria, when you say Nigeria, everybody kind of sits up and says, okay, let's see what you're bringing. Yeah. So we know that, with the kids that we're working with, we've seen so much promise and zeal that we know it's going to be a thing of pride for that final child who goes to say, in their first year ever, I was the one to represent Nigeria. And I think that's a thing of pride.
Tell us some of the success stories from Ghana. You know, 20 years you've been doing this.
Close.
What are some of the things you've seen that inspired?
So the first thing I've seen that I will speak to is the fact that the foundation we give the children in this program readies them for writing SATs. SATs are these exams you write into college. Yeah. It's in 2 parts. It's got the math and then it's got the English. The English is purely vocabulary. So when you know that the English language is borrowed from 13 other languages, you ace it. Most of our kids from Ghana who have written SATs will tell you that the English is what they ace. They get the highest.
And it's the hardest.
It is the hardest.
This part of town.
And it is because we don't understand
the origin.
Yes. Yeah. And so this becomes, so without knowing, you're grooming them for you're grooming them for that, So that's been the biggest, especially when parents come back to us and ask for reference letters and we hear these success stories, they excite us. Then the other one is how children now, they've learned how to learn. Because typically you're the parent who gets to tell them, go and study, but now they know that, well, I need to make time for my spelling bee studies, I need to make time for my school studies, I need to make time. Yeah. This is because we set time or targets which are time-bound for them. So immediately gets them to become a bit more mature in that sense.
So how do schools, because from what you're saying, is it like, is there a curriculum that this runs by and schools need to sign up to participate, and what's the advantage for private schools and public schools to get on board?
Yes, so there is a curriculum which we've developed ourselves because, again, it's an international competition, but there are nuances that are very African. And so we've had to look at, for example, again, we're still studying the educational terrain, primary educational terrain of Nigeria, in order that it can reflect in the curriculum better. But what happens in Nigeria is practically what happens in Ghana. And so we're using the Ghana model for now. And it complements, for private schools, as you ask, and public schools, it does complement what happens in the classroom. So, for example, the classic one that I think we're speaking to just before we came on was the thing about English, American English and British English. And, it's a quandary for our generation of children because they don't know why they're seeing color spelled with O-U-R in the textbook and then seeing it without an O-U-R in the novel that is in the same school. They don't get why is it. And as a human being, I will go for the one with less words in it. It does make sense. So our program then teaches them the concept of varieties of English. So there are different Englishes, and when you're in school, you're required, it's like when you're in school, you have to wear a uniform. You can't wear your church dress. So it's the same concept. So we kind of, so in terms of talking about the curriculum, this is how we break it down to them. And so when they go to school, they begin to lessen, or you don't see as much of the American words slipping through in the exam, because now they get a better understanding.
As we wrap up with you,
I wanted to ask on partnerships, because, Lagos State in Nigeria has a spelling bee competition that has been for years.
Yes.
Friend won the first one. And I wondered if you had such a partnership that, an established system would afford.
Right. So yes, we have approached them. They have not responded yet, but we're still pursuing them. Yes, we're still pursuing them.
As we wrap up with you, finally, a teacher, school is watching, your parents is watching right now. You're thinking to say, okay, how can I get my kids involved in spelling bee? What do they have to do?
Well, the first thing I'll say they have to do is watch our national finals. It's on the 14th of September. It's being held at the residence of the U.S. Consulate here in Nigeria. They're hosting us graciously, and we're so excited about that. And it's an invitation-only event, so we're gonna so you can watch on our YouTube page. It's Spelling Bee in Nigeria. So B, the insect, not the letter. BEE. Yes, in Nigeria, one word. .ng for the website, and if you use that same name, Spelling Bee in Nigeria, for any other social media handles, you'll find us and watch it there, and engage us there as well. I mean, if you go to our website as well, if you want to be a part of it, you just send us send
Thank you very much, Eugenia. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
It's been a pleasure sitting here.
Thank you.
That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we continue with the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.